Hey guys, check out these twins. Right now on our website, we have this Krieghoff, number 192. It's been on there for a while. It has a few finish issues. You're going to take a closer look in a minute. But one of our subscribers, David, contacted us and said, hey, I have the consecutive number to that gun. This is 191 and this is 192. We're going to compare and contrast. The irony was, David bought this from us about a year ago and then noticed that we got the consecutive number. He saw it before we did, but he graciously sent this to us. So since these are twins separated at birth, it's just kind of cool to think about the fact these were in the factory on the same day, put together by the same person, inspected about the same time. Anyway, they've been separated for all these years, so we would like to put them back together again. So we're actually offering them at a very fair price, $11,500. Now, usually you pay $11,500 for one Krieghoff. But as I said, these have condition issues. Not great, but if anybody out there really wants to put these together and keep them together for a very long time, put them together in the safe and they start kissing. They just love being together. So let's try to keep these together. Get in touch with us if you would like this pair. But first, let's come take a closer look at the two. Okay, a couple observations about Krieghoffs that some people don't realize. I often see different coloration in the finish, so that the side plate sometimes is darker than the rest of the gun. Here you can see the side plate wore more quickly. And the theory behind this, people who study these things in metallurgy would say that they use different tanks. So for example, a 1940 Krieghoff will almost always have a side plate darker than the rest of the finish. The differences are very subtle, but they're there. So then when I get something like this, often people will say, oh, it's a shame somebody wiped that down with a solvent and ruined the finish. That's possible, but I believe the real explanation, this was not, the metal wasn't prepared right, or the bluing tank wasn't quite right. And so it probably looked near perfect when it came out of the factory, but very quickly this wore off. Same thing I've seen where the barrels are worn off and the rest of the gun are blued. Here, these twins, 91 and 92, you can see different color finishes. This may have been redone a while ago. This may have been redone. I can't say for sure, but when we look at this side, the gun hasn't been reblued because you can see the corrosion over top of the finish. So it may have gotten some touch up, or it could just be the different colors that you can see coming through. Again, let's look at these together. First of all, they're very early, 191, 192, made in 1936, S code. And that would be correct. You see the S. Also, you can see the logo is the first variation logo. Here's a picture of the later logo, which most of the Krieghoffs have the later variation logo. This is the early logo. Also, these early guns were the only ones that had these wooden grips. The wooden grips are a little thicker than standard. The checkering is a little bit wider. This one has the typical, I call it the $1 million chip, because it says probably cost $1 million, all the ones that have been chipped. And that's where somebody took it off and then pried it up and chipped it from the safety lever. You can see the straw finish here. It's a little more faded than here, and you can actually see it even more so on the back. Notice that this is a darker, richer straw color. That's the yellow. Here's the Luftwaffe proofs here and here. You can see that they are correct and very similar. We'll do the straps, the front straps. This one's a little more worn. I don't think this was touched up because you can see the holster wear here, and same thing on the back. This one is a little more worn. They have what they call the thumbprint. It's somehow, when they finish, Krieghoffs are the only ones, you'll see a little half moon right here and right here. This one is really hard to see. You may not see it at all. But it just looks like somebody put a thumbprint in here. I haven't heard an explanation that made sense, but Krieghoff does have that. You can definitely see it here. And that's just a sign that it still has the original finish. It's called the Krieghoff thumbprint, if you ever hear that term. Beautiful guns. Both of them come in 9mm. Both were issued to the Luftwaffe or paratroopers, and both of them have the unusual characteristics on the numbering in that the side plate is numbered, the takedown lever is numbered. Later, they stopped numbering them on the exterior because they felt like it was a distraction. So these parts would be numbered internally, not externally. So the early Krieghoffs have some unique characteristics. Here you can see the 91, 91, and 191. They're also numbered here. But the early Krieghoff has some very unusual characteristics, most notably the early logo, the numbering, and the wooden grips. Before I forget, both magazines are not Krieghoff. This is a Mauser magazine. This is probably a police magazine, but so neither one of them have a Krieghoff magazine, but they're, again, both very similar. So if you would like to be involved in keeping these two twins together, keep them as a happy family, just get in touch and we'd be glad to sell you both.